Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Ohio Hikes. Today we are back at Zaleski State Forest. So today we are doing a little bit different. Setting my poles down real quick. Turn the camera around. Today we are back hiking the Slind Rosenberg backpack trails, and we are here once again. Last time we were here I did the South Loop and went to camp number 2, but I hiked all the way in the same day because of an extreme wind advisory. So today we're doing a little bit of a different hike. We are again starting here, but we are going to end up camp number 3. So we have this trail up to hike. So it's about 5.5 miles. It's not too bad. I've never hiked it before, so we will see. And then I'm going to stay the night, and tomorrow when we leave we will hike this outer trail loop back to the Hope Furnace. So that is the plan, so let's get to hiking. Well everybody, now that we are out cruising on the trail, thought I'd catch everyone up on what's going on today and tomorrow. I chose Zaleski because the weather is supposed to be nice the next 2 days. It is supposed to get down to freezing tonight, which that's fine. I brought enough stuff to keep me warm. But I also wanted to give Zaleski another try, because when I came down here the first time, on my very first hike on this video, I bailed out on the very first day because the National Weather Service put out a strong wind advisory with 60+ mile-an-hour winds. So I'm not going to be out here in a forest that is so full of fallen trees and take that chance. So I decided to go to camp number 3 today. It's a hike I've never been on. It's a camp I've never been to. So we will see what happens on our hike there. So far I've seen at least 3 other hikers that set out shortly before I did. I know one couple is going to camp 2. I overheard them talking to somebody else, and then they're going to camp 1. The woman before them, I don't know where she's going, but I'm going to camp 3. It's about 5.5 miles from the parking lot. So we'll see what we can get up to on this hike. Let's have some fun. Last time we were here, this rock overlook was flowing with a lot of water. Now I'm just trickling. So with not as much rain, just slow, but pretty cool. So we just got to point O on our map. Here is our junction. If you're going to camp 1 or 2, you're going to take right to B. But we are going to camp 3, so we need to follow the G sign. So let's head that way. So here we've come up on our road crossing. Takes us right onto the other side. And last time I was here, this section was full of water, overflowing. It was crazy. I had to drag a log specifically to this crossing to try and get over it, which looks like it's been removed, but still, without much water last week, it is way down. But this was definitely worse last time I was here. So here we're coming up on one of my favorite points on this trail in the beginning. There's a waterfall down there. I'm sure you can get to it if you climb down, but not doing that today. So, but you do get to walk over the top of it, so we'll get to see it from that angle. It's pretty cool. Last time that I was here, it was flowing pretty heavily with water from the rain that they had before. But today, it just sounds like trickles. So let's go see that real quick. There is still water, like a little tiny creek that is flowing down right there and drops off. So let's get down here. You can see the water just right over the rock. It's pretty cool. Maybe sometime in the future I'll hike down there and see it from the bottom, but not today. Here is the different angle from the other side. Don't know if you can see it on camera, but yep, straight down. It's beautiful. Here was another rock formation that had water flowing down it pretty heavy last time I was here, but again, it's just a trickle. Not heavy at all, but still beautiful nonetheless. So, just a reminder that when you are out hiking these Zaleski State Forest trails, you cannot filter any of the water out of the creeks or the little waterfalls, because this was all former mining area and there are still chemicals in the waters that you cannot drink. So I didn't even bring my Sawyer water filter with me. But the only place you can get water is at the 3 designated camp areas. As well, you cannot camp unless you are at one of those 3 designated camping areas. So if you're unsure, call Zaleski State Park office or Facebook, where I found out information on Camp 3 and their water source. They were able to answer that it was working. Last time I was here, there was a sign that said it was not. So just keep that in mind when you come out here. We have just now come up on one of the most cool features of this trail, and it is this rock formation overhang. And I saw this on my first hike here, and it's in my first video, but just to see it again is awesome. And it just got this sandstone that is just devouring away from the water, but the texture from the water erosion is crazy beautiful. And you can see all the sand right underneath it from the erosion, but it is cool. It almost looks like coral. Beautiful. And then this gigantic rock here, just covered in green moss. It's gorgeous. And it just continues all the way around to another overhang of rock, and it just keeps going. Here's another section. In this one you can see the layers of it. Just all that sandstone, just over time, just decaying. Last time I was here, this section had nothing but dripping water on it. And then once again, here's just another section of overhang, and this one is much bigger. Looks bigger in person, because I know it looks a little small on camera. But you can just see just the erosion over time, and it's just magnificent. So if you're looking for some beautiful rocks, definitely head on this trail, because you will definitely find them. So here we have reached our next waypoint. This is where we were last time I was out here going to campsite number 2, which was that way. But today we're going to camp 3, which is going to be up that climb right there to the other side. And from here, it is about 3.5 miles until we get to camp number 3. We have hiked 1.62 miles in 56 minutes. So we're gonna keep on going and go right. Say being on this trail that takes us to camp 3 is pretty nice. Probably gonna eat my words later for saying that, but so far it's been pretty smooth. Fairly level trail. It's a little muddy and it's a little unkept, but quite smooth going. We had one sharp incline to get on the trail from our point where we started on this trail. But other than that, pretty nice. It's a lot more open on this section of the trail than it was on the first part. The trail's a little more wide. But all in all, pretty nice, pretty quiet. I think I might be the only one at Camp 3. Unless that other woman came this way, but most of the tracks I've seen in the mud have been going back the way we came. So we will see when we get there. So far it's pretty nice. One thing I wanted to add while you're out on trail headed to campsite number 3, you are close to the road on some points of this trail. You can see it right there. So if you're in an emergency, bad weather, you can make your way down to the road and try and hitch a ride back to your vehicle, or if there's an emergency, have someone get a hold of 911. But most hikers talk about hitching and being out on public roads, flagging people down. I have no problem with that. If you're an emergency, you know, what are you gonna do? So, just so you're aware. So we just crossed this little stream here. Too bad you can't drink any of that water. It looks real nice, especially with it flowing there with the sunshine. Looks beautiful. We came up on our next point that says H, even though it's kind of peeling off. So this is the midway point on our 2.5 mile section of our hike, which continues this way. Once we get to the next letter mark, which should be I, we will be 1 mile away from camp number 3. So we've got about 1.5 miles left to go. So let's just head on down the trail. So we have come up upon our next point, which would be I. And this is the turning point to head off to camp number 3, which is 1 mile from this point. And the next point, which we will take tomorrow on the loop back to the parking lot where we parked my truck. So for tonight, we are going to go to Backpack Camp 3, turning right and going on about 1 mile until we get to camp. So let's get to going. Made it to campsite number 3. There is the open pit toilet. Let's go check it out, which is a nice feature. That way you don't have to go in the woods. Open pit. So, not too shabby. I'm sure it's full of spiders. I was warned that none of these open pit toilets have toilet paper, so I'm glad I brought some. Here, just no camping beyond this point, which that's the service road, I imagine, for bringing water up and in the toilets. Here's one campsite. I don't see anybody. There's another campsite way over there. They do have fire rings. There is drinking water down there. We'll go check that out. But if you are wanting to do the upper loop, which is almost 7 miles, about 7 miles. This is where you're going to take it. So you go left and right here. But we're not going that way because I don't have enough time today. But I don't see anybody else out here, so it'll be a nice quiet camping trip. And then there's the spigot for the drinking water, so I'll definitely be hitting that later. I think that's the fill portion. So we are going to head up here and see where we are going to camp for the night. It's a couple spots. There's one over there. There's one right there. I think, since I am by myself, I'm going to pick the one right by the latrine. So if I have to go, I am close, especially during night. Let me check over here first. Here's another spot, and then people just leave the trash because they don't give a shit. I don't know, I might choose this spot. I mean, I've got to walk to the latrine, but looks a little bit more clear here. Ground's a little more even. There's less tree coverage for ticks to fall. Yeah, ground looks soft right there, so let me get going on setting up camp, and then we'll get some food and water into us. So we are set up in camp finally. Got my chair out, really relaxing. Got my clothes over there, drying from the hike up. They're a little sweaty. So now it's time to eat some grub. So I did go fill up my water bottle at the water point, and pretty good, pretty clear. You do got to let the fountain run a little bit because it does come out brown at the beginning, so just a heads up. But it tastes great. For lunch, we're gonna have, I found these on Amazon. They are walking tamales, and they are shelf stable. You can eat them cold raw like I'm gonna do, or put them in the microwave for about 5 seconds. I've had them both. They both turn out good no matter how you eat it. They do have 3 different varieties. This is the bean salsa verde, and it is a 1 pepper mild. They do have up to 3, which is a habanero flavor. I have that for tomorrow's lunch. But it is really good. It is a little bit dry, but it tastes delicious after a long hike. Can you hear that? Absolutely nothing. No birds, no people, just the wind. That's all I can hear. Now I come out here and hike on my days off, which are during the week. So today being Monday, I have today and tomorrow off, and then I also have Thursdays off of work. So those are the days that I usually come out and hike. And being during the week, obviously no one's going to be out here. Not many people, at least, because everybody's working. Everybody's got to go to bed and wake up and go to work, and I don't, and it's nice because it's quiet. But who knows? It's only 3:35, so somebody else could show up. I don't know. But it's nice and sunny. It's 56 degrees, and definitely don't have to worry about wind today. It is supposed to get down to 35 degrees tonight, so there's that. But I've got my quilt and my bag liner to stay plenty warm, and then I'll have a fire tonight. That'll keep me warm. But other than that, I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy myself. All right, so now that we got food in us, I'm gonna go get some firewood, so I'll be right back. So I used my 550 cord for that, so definitely helps when you're collecting wood. Well, just got plenty of firewood. Hopefully that lasts the night, and hopefully nobody else comes, because there wasn't much firewood around here to begin with, so they'd have to go searching, so I'd feel bad. But we are not able to do a fire here until 6. There was a notice on the information board at the trailhead that ODNR states that you cannot have a fire between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So it's March, April, May. So I cannot start. It's only 4:15, so an hour and 45 minutes isn't too bad. But by then, sun will be going down. So we're gonna go get my fire started using one of my homemade fire starters out of my straws. Get it lit. kindling in there. We got some dry bark. And some larger tinder right here. It's catching on so far, so that's good. My fire starters work. So, fire's going. Nothing better on a camping trip than a nice fire. It's starting to get chilly a little bit, so I put on my coat. So this should definitely brighten the mood, and we'll get dinner in here started soon. Hey everybody, it's after 6, so it's time to get dinner going. I'm starving. So the pot I use is fire maple. I don't believe in the whole jet boil thing. This is good enough for me, works for me. And then I do have something cool to show you. So these are little feet, as you can see, for my stove. These are the lightest feet on the market. No, I did not get them at Garage Grown. I bought them on AliExpress, believe it or not. I don't believe in buying all the huge, big, expensive name brand stuff. If it works for me, I'll save some bucks. But these weighs 0.3 ounces. The lightest ones that Garage Grown Gear sells are 0.4. So if you're a pincher like me, then these are for you. They are magnetic, so they do stick together. So that means you can put them on the bottom of your can, and store them that way if you want. So however you want to arrange it. But they do clip on. Provide a nice, quick, easy base. So if you're pinching ounces and grams like I do, then AliExpress. Now, the one thing I like about the fire maple stove is it does have a self-igniter on it, which is nice because you're not having to worry about a lighter or anything like that. And then another feature that fire maple has is it's got the 3 notches at the bottom of its pot, so you can put it on your stove and less likely to fall over. So that's one reason why I like it, and it's pretty nice. So for dinner tonight, we are having Pick 2 refuel chicken Alfredo pasta. I've never had it before. I did buy it at a Sierra, and if you've never been to a Sierra store, you've got to go sometime. It is pretty much like a TJ Maxx. It's owned by the company that owns TJ Maxx, but they sell discounted outdoor gear. So that was one reason why I liked them so much, is you can buy really cheap meals. So before I get that going, I'm going to get my 3 full gear, same as my tent, insulated pouch out, because it is getting cold out here, so I want to keep my dinner as warm as possible while it rehydrates. Let's go ahead and get our water in there. I usually just guesstimate my water. I'm not really scientific on, oh, well, how much is the right amount of water. It's a little soupy, it doesn't bother me. It's just extra broth to drink when it's done. And now that we got that, get our stove turned on. There we go, one click and it's on. Put the cover back on. Once that gets done, we'll get in our food. That was really good. You can taste the cheese perfectly. The broth is delicious. And you can just taste a little bit of sriracha I put in there. So, this is going to be a really good dinner. And then we have my strawberry lemonade drink that I'm going to drink along with it. So, I'm just going to enjoy the fire and enjoy my dinner. Hello everybody. Just sitting here enjoying the evening. Fire's going. Just ate dinner. And it's pretty quiet. Birds are chirping. But I was checking the weather app on my phone and it's changed. It was supposed to get down to 35, but now it's supposed to get down to 33. So that's close to freezing. Well, everybody, just got into my tent. I got things arranged. I'm ready to go for the night. One thing I did do is I did bring both my vestibules in and hugging the side of my tent. So hopefully any warmth that I create during the night will stay in the tent, because again, it's supposed to get down to 33 degrees. So anyway, to keep warmth in, I will do it. I've got my sack liner in. I'm gonna crawl onto there in about a minute. My pillow, I have the Hyperlight clothes stuffed pillow. So all of my clothes are in the pillow, and that's what creates my padding for the night. And that does two things for me. One, gives me a place to put my clothes while having a pillow. And then when I sleep on it, it will keep my clothes warm. So when I wake up in the morning, I have warm clothes to put on. So one thing I will be doing is I'm going to take off my jacket, and it's going to be in my stuff sack, in my sleeping bag with me to stay warm. One, it'll give me an extra layer of warmth in my sack. And then if I get cold and I need to put it on during the night, it's right there. It's warm. I'm not putting it on cold. But I am going to take it off now because I do sleep hot during the night. So the last thing I want is to get sweaty clothes and then have to worry about hypothermia during the night. I don't think anybody who wants to deal with that. So I am going to sleep with the shirt on. If I need to lift it up to let my body breathe, I will do that. I'm gonna leave my socks off for now. I do have my socks, my beanie, and hand warmers in my sack just in case my head gets cold during the night, my feet get cold. I can throw a hand warmer down by them, and I can put on socks if I need to. But other than that, it should be good. It is currently 8:58 or 8:56, but other than that, I'm going to lay down for the night, watch some YouTube until I fall asleep. So I will see you all in the morning. Wish me luck. Well, good morning, everybody. It is 7 o'clock, and it is 36 degrees out. Last night wasn't too bad. I had my liner and my down quilt, which kept me pretty much warm through the night. When I woke up at 5:30, my thermometer inside my tent read 40, so I was able to keep some heat in, which helped. But when I got closer to 6:30, before I crawled out of bed, it was 38 in the tent, so it did cool off a little bit. So all in all, not too bad. I wish it wasn't cold, but I did start a small fire just to kind of warm up a little bit, even though I'm not supposed to. But when you're close to freezing, I'd rather bend the rules. But I'm gonna make myself some breakfast, get a camp packed up, and then head out. So I'll see you in a little bit. All right, everybody, I'm back. Got my food stuff ready to go this morning. Breakfast is biscuits and gravy. One of my favorite camp breakfasts. It's delicious, especially on a cold morning. And then a must is coffee. I always have to have coffee in the morning before work, my days off, out camping. I gotta have coffee. I get a little cranky, if you know what I mean. And then shout out to Hilltop Packs for my food bag, Embrace the Suck. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get my coffee ready. I do make my own coffee packets. It's a lot cheaper for me. I get the Ziploc bags off of Amazon, and then I go to Dollar Tree. If you're from Ohio, then you know what Dollar Tree is. It's a dollar store where everything's pretty much $1.25, so very, very cheap. I get freeze-dried coffee, instant coffee for $1.25, and then I get vanilla creamer powdered for $1.25. So this cost me $2.75 to make these myself. So instant, which always comes in handy when you're out in the wilderness. So let me get that started. So I do have a Sea to Summit collapsible cup. Let me get that in my pot. All right, so we got that going. Now let me get prepared with my breakfast. Even when it's just freeze dried, it smells good. All right, so let me get it in my 3 full gear insulated pouch, because it is cold out and I want to keep it as warm as possible. Okay, so we just got our coffee made. I'm gonna let it cool down before I start enjoying it. While it's cooling down, I'm gonna go ahead and get my water boiling for my biscuits and gravy. All right, so we got that covered. There's the coffee. It's not, so I make it myself because it's a lot cheaper for me than going and buying store-bought, which is probably more delicious. But out here, this is like delicious to me. So on a cold morning, sorry my beanie keeps dropping down on my face, but for a cold morning, this definitely hits the spot. It just warms you up from the inside. Alright, so we're just gonna wait until the water's boiled and we'll add it to our food. Alright, so our water is boiled. Let's get it in our bag. Alrighty. Looked like that was just enough, so but I'll have to go get some more water here soon. Let me get this mixed up. It's gonna be good. All right. So let's get that sealed up. Alrighty, so we'll let that sit for about 10 minutes. While that is sitting, I'm going to go refill my waters. First, drink my potion. So I will be right back. Alrighty, so it's been about 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and open her up. Oh yeah, that was the perfect amount of water. Don't know why I doubted myself. It is delicious looking, nice and rehydrated. Perfect. That's really good on a cold morning. All right, everybody, it is 8:45. Got camp packed up. Everything is clear. Got everything picked up. Check cam twice, 3 times. Got everything, and we are going to head out. It's about 5.9 miles back. It should take me 3 hours to get back to the parking lot. And I do about 2 miles an hour. That's my average pace. So we're going to head out and head down the trail. It was a good campsite. It's quiet. The birds were great this morning. Breakfast was delicious. So I'm gonna head on down and let's get to moving. Look at this view. Sun's coming up. Birds are chirping. So this has got to be one of the better views on the trail. All right, everybody, we made it back to the point of the split where we did yesterday. Point I, going right, we're going to Camp 3. We are going to point M, which is to the left. That'll take us on the loop around to the Iron Furnace parking lot. So from here to point M is 2.6 miles. So let's get on down the trail. All right, so we are at the crossroad to 278. I hear a car coming, so I'm gonna wait. But it shows you the map and it shows you the road right down there. So once you walk the road, you're going to turn right back into the woods. All right, so I was a little confused because it showed turning off down there where the road is. You're gonna see the blazes, but you're gonna walk down the road a little bit, just follow the trees, and then it goes in right here. And then it takes us up the ridge. So let's get going. Well, I will say on this section of the trail, it is a whole lot more unkept. Knee-high grass, exactly why I sprayed my legs and my socks and my shoes with Repel tick spray, because people have talked about all the ticks on this trail. So I do stop every 10 minutes, check my legs just to make sure that I don't have someone hitching a ride. But when I get home, it'll be more of a thorough check. So just be cautious when you're out here. Alright folks, we just got to point M, which is here. So 2 miles left to go. You do cross the road once you get here. And then there's your sign, and then an orange ribbon. Gonna drop pack, grab some water, and then should be on our way. That section till here was overgrown, and some sections not as many wildflowers. I just don't know if that's because it's more shaded in that section, but all in all, it's been a smooth hike. A couple inclines, but not too bad. But let me get some water and we'll be back on our way. Wanted to show off this little creek here. Something I've never seen before is this creek bottom is slate. I've never seen that before, ever. But it would make sense that it's a smooth stone, water can freely move across it. There's no mud, it's just all rock. And it's flowing nice, pretty good. There are a whole lot of dead trees that have fallen in this portion. So just a heads up, I mean, there's a bunch and they're all along the trail. So be careful. They've got some trimmed up. Some of them must have just fallen recently. So just wanted to point that out. Also, this tree looks like it got hit by lightning and fell. There's another section right there from it. But that is a big tree. Another huge overhang. Just covered in leaves, by the way. But this one is massive compared to the other one. It's just huge. It's all sandstone. So you can see the parts that have broken off over time. But just gorgeous. Something to look forward to on that last portion of this hike. Was not expecting this. Just beautiful. I love nature. Just everything that it shows you and throws at you. All right, folks, looks like we are coming up on the final portion of our trail and trip. We've made it to the road. I see a blaze right there, but as far as from here, I don't know which way to go. So I need to pull on all trails and find out which way. You would think they would have markers, but I don't see that. They have a marker here, so if you're taking the road in, you know where to go. But I see a blaze there. Okay, I see him. All right, so there's a blaze. So we just came out of the trail. So you're gonna go left when you come out because there's a blaze there, and I see a blaze way over there. So this road is windy, so be careful. I just saw a car go through. I'm walking on the side of oncoming traffic, which is what you're supposed to do. So right now we are at 2 hours 36 minutes, 6.05 miles. So once we get up here, we'll see how far we have to go, but from here on out it's just a road walk. There's a blaze right there, and then up here past the sign there's another blaze. So all right, let's finish this out strong. Everybody, as you just saw, we finally made it back to the parking lot. It's a beautiful day. I usually do this in my truck, but I'm sitting on my tailbed because the sun is shining. It's nice and warm, definitely much different than this morning. So we just did that hike in 2 hours 46 minutes, and we went 6.4 miles. I did double back a couple times due to getting photographs, videos. So that kind of added to. But it was a good hike. I enjoyed the M portion onto here. You were going through a valley, so you were pretty much following the creek. So wasn't too much elevation. I think it was 669 my Garmin said. So not too much on the second portion of the trail today. From I to M, that portion is overgrown a little bit. I did put repel tick spray on my legs and all over myself because people have talked about the upper portion of Zaleski having a lot of ticks, so I was definitely taking precautions. But all in all, I'm gonna give this hike a 7 out of 10. That's pretty good. Don't know if I'll be back to do the upper loop, which is they call the North Loop, which is the 6.9 miles, which is beyond Camp 3. But I've been through all 3 camps, and I've never stayed at camp number 1, but I hiked through it on my very first hike here. So I think I'm gonna move on to a different state forest now. And who knows, maybe I'll come back and do the North Loop in the future, so we'll see. But it was a good hike. I enjoyed it. Camp 3 was really nice. So all in all, I'll see you again. Thanks for watching Ohio Hikes. My name is Nick, and I will see you on the next hike.